Welcome to the Center of Light Radio with spiritual teacher, intuitive, musician, composer, and best-selling author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth, your host, Keith Anthony Blanchard.
Coast to coast, pole to pole, all around the world on the internet. Thanks to the marvel of technology, I'm coming at you live from my little guest house in Memphis, Tennessee. This is, as the guy said, Keith Anthony Blanchard. You're listening to Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement, superhighway to knowledge for that which is most important. And you can bet, are important to me. I want to dedicate this show to a dear brother who frequented Center of Light chat room. He was always there. You can bet on it. Roger Briggs, a.k.a. Profanity. And he also has been listening to Inception Radio Network for many, many years. In fact, at its inception, he has passed away. I never met this man, but somehow he and I were connected like before our birth. No kidding. It saddens my heart. So Roger is no longer going to be with us in the visible way or in the chat room as to where we can see some of the funny things he writes, but also the brilliant writer that he was while he was embodied on this earth. So my brother, Godspeed to you, Roger Profanity Briggs. I'm going to miss you, bro. Welcome to Center of Light Radio. As I said, I'm Keith Anthony Blanchard. I got a fantastic show for you tonight. We're going to get to all that really cool stuff here really shortly. RPM program. Again, go to centeroflightradio.com. The bottom right-hand side of the opening page, you will see a subscription form. Fill it out. Not only will you have access to Recognize, Plug, and Manifest, my lifelong work, you will also have access to my monthly newsletter, which will be coming out very, very shortly, again, for this particular month. But I put a lot of time and a lot of passion into the fashioning of this newsletter. Fill it out, and as I said, you will have access to RPM as well as the empowering information I will be sending you through the newsletter program. If you want to listen to any of the Center of Light Radio archive shows, go to YouTube and look up Center of Light Radio. You will find my very first show all the way to the show I done last week. It's all done very, very well. High quality audio, really cool visual, video, motion, background kind of stuff. Really, really cool. And if you find, while you're there, if you find any archive shows that you really like, give me a thumbs up, maybe even leave me a comment. It helps me to refine who I'm going to be looking for in the future as guest. But also while you're there, why not hit subscribe? That way you stay plugged into Center of Light Radio and you won't miss any of what's happening as they come down the pike. That's for sure. Services and announcements. I've been speaking for years. I've been giving life-changing presentations about spirituality, divine incarnations, extraterrestrials. I've helped many people fulfill their lifelong dreams, so forth and so on. If you want to hire me for your theme, I can cater to whatever theme you may have. Pretty much anything. I'm pretty broadened in the field of spirituality and the like. I also do readings. I don't really approach it from a psychic point of view. Though I have great intuition, and it took me a while to develop this over the years, I don't go at it from that point of view. I go at it from as wanting to help you make your own choices, helping you to get to a space of clarity. That's what's most important. You are better at creating your life than any psychic could ever tell you what's going to happen. So I really don't play that psychic game. It's very dangerous, in my opinion. We can stifle people's growth, but instead helping someone get really, really clear can empower them to levels that, beyond imaginable. So if you need any services like that, please let me know. And also, if you have any ghost in your house, spiritual squatters who are not paying rent, and they're aggravating you, causing you nothing but trouble, contact me. I'll be more than happy. Contact me at keithanthonyblanchard@gmail.com. And if you live in the Memphis area, I'd be glad to come to you. If not, we can do this over the phone, through email. I have an arsenal. I have a bag of tricks, spiritual warfare. Let's change that. I have a bag of spiritual goodies that will help raise the vibrations of you, your family, your home, and your house. And they will disappear just as quickly as they came in. You can bet on that. While you're at Center of Light Radio, check out the Do What You Love Forever course tab. In it for $5 still. I have not changed the price because I've been so busy. And because I'm going to honor my agreement that stands there. $5. You get my bestseller, This is all digital downloads, so you get it right away. Bestseller, self-reflection workbook, the Divine Daily Supplements, Do What You Love, A Path to Passionate Living. It's an hour-and-a-half movie made by Blue Cast Productions out of New York. Very, very fine film, empowering you with the tools that you need so you can begin to live your best life by doing those things that just bring you joy. And there's lots more goodies in that bag. So make sure you check that out. And I think we're going to get down to Center of Light Radio business. Today on Center of Light Radio, my guest is Amy Smith Sikarskie. I hope I got that right. And we'll be discussing StarSeeded Ascensions, messages from the councils. What is a starseed? Why are we here? Awakening? Remembering? Amy Sikarskie is a light worker, starseed, and co-author of StarSeeded Ascensions, Messages from the Councils. She is a licensed nurse, hypnotherapist, starseed liaison, and energy practitioner. Amy has been in contact with her guides and a higher power since childhood. As a teenager, she was introduced to angelic communication and energy healing. In 2001, she was certified as a Reiki Master. As a mother, she then went on to pursue a career in nursing, working with special needs children and adults. During her work as a nurse, Amy expanded her training in the field of energy medicine through studying with Lionheart Institute and certifying in earth-based energy healing, a modality based on Barbara Anne Brennan's teachings in her best-selling books, Light Emerging and Hands of Light. Yes, absolutely. That's the blue book with the hands with light all around. I've read that book many, many years ago. Great piece of work, actually. It was during this accelerated awakening and ascension of her energy that she first received visions and memories of other lifetimes and life off of planet Earth. Amy then had a profound past life regression, followed by a life between life regression. I'm curious to know about that. That filled in the gaps and answered many questions on the work she was to do in this lifetime. She went on to train as a hypnotherapist, where she met her friend and co-author, Connie Parker. Together, they certified in past life regression with the Newton Institute. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, Amy Sikarskie.
Thank you for having me, Keith.
Absolutely. Let's start off by first, let me ask you the question for our listening audience. What is a starseed?
Okay, great question. Well, a starseed is a soul or a being who is on Earth, but has experiences in other dimensions, other constellations, or planetary bodies, other planets or stars other than just Earth. So starseeds have had many experiences, some of us on Earth, incarnated as a human. However, we have a history that expands beyond our time here.
It seems that it almost automatically implies, when we think star and seed, that this is more of a galactic, cosmic kind of thing, to use the word very loosely, alien. Yes. Reading your bio said a lot about the fact that you were, quote, not from here. Do you actually have conscious memory? I mean, is it really that active for you just to use your will and launch yourself back to where and who you were before?
I can. It all started with the energy clearing work. So once the programs from this life were released and my energy body activated and healed, I was able to tune more in with who I was, like who I am at a soul level. And that's when visions and flashbacks started occurring. So to support that, I went and had the past life regression work. And that's when more and more information came forward to fill in the gaps. So currently, that was probably 5 years ago. Currently, if I have any questions or want to know about my past outside of Earth, then I could go into like meditative space and with the help of my guides or just my higher self, ask specific targeted questions to lead me there. But I don't do it too often. I really try and stay focused on why I'm here right now, because I know that we're eternal beings, and there's so much that you could really just going down the rabbit hole, right? So I'm trying to stay present in the moment in this lifetime, unless there's something that comes up that I'm working through where I really need answers. And then when that happens, I'll go in front of my council. So I have a council, and it's a council of 13. The 13th member is my higher self, but the other 12 members are ETs, I guess you could say. They are beings from other planets and races of ETs, and they've been with me my whole life. But it wasn't until recently, maybe 2 years ago, that I started having direct communication with them on a conscious level, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Can you share with us, or if it's something you refrain, that's fine. Can you share with us who you were in one of those past life experiences? Who you were, meaning like what star system, what race, what planet, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. That was a big question that I had, because my visions were showing very specific lifetime experiences, and there were members of my current family in some of those as well. So I really was very curious. I think a lot of starseeds, when we start to wake up, are curious and want to have answers. It's like, you give us a little tiny opening or a little piece of the puzzle, and we want the whole thing. So I had a reconnective healing session for anybody who's familiar with the reconnection. And that was profound. During that session, I lifted from my physical body, and my guides came through. I guess it was like a voice that I heard. There was an energy there with me, and took me through the cosmos to Andromeda and Beta Centauri 2. So that is one of the stars or planets that I'm from. And then later, a couple of years after that, when I was writing messages from the councils, they came through and were talking about the Pleiades. So I also have experience living with the Pleiades, so Pleiadian. And it kind of took me by surprise, because I'm new to this. I know there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of work and stories that people share, which is amazing to help support all of us who are awakening. But for myself, I kind of wanted everything to come from a very pure, authentic space, direct communication with my inner knowing and my guides. And so when I heard that the Pleiades was also part of my soul history, I was a little confused as to how we could be from part of two places. But the more I thought about it, and the more that I sat with the council, it makes sense. It makes sense that we have a really extensive soul history. And that's kind of one reason why I was saying you could really go down the rabbit hole. And so just trying to stay present on Earth right now. But to know that we have star families, star councils, beings of light who are very loving and compassionate and are like our guiding light and best friends with us, it's really comforting, I've found. And I think that's one thing that we wanted to share with everybody through our book and just our journey, Connie and myself, is that we're not alone, and a lot of starseeds feel that we're alone. So we're not alone. We have spiritual support teams, but also now that more of us are waking up, then we can meet in physical in this life to really support each other just through the process, because it can be a little challenging.
When do you still have these sessions with the council?
I do. So we first met them. It was really interesting because my whole life I've kind of felt them around me, but being religious as a child, I didn't really know what to call it, maybe God or an angel, but felt them around me and had a lot of telepathic communication growing up. Just a lot of advice. I think like in my religion, I think they call it the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit too, where I would get some of the information from. But later as an adult, then when they came through, it was in a regression that I did for my friend Connie. She really wanted to get some information for a few things that she was going through. And so we did a past life regression. And that's when her counsel came through and mine as well. So that's how it all started. And once that opening occurred, it was like it never closed. So if I wanted to go into direct communication with them, I do it through meditation or automatic writing.
You had mentioned a bit ago, there's a question from the chat room from Tricia. Any significance to the number that means anything to a numerologist? My question to you is, you had mentioned there was 13. Your higher self would be one, and there'd be 12 more. When you communicate with the council, is it from your earthly perspective who reached the council through meditation, or are you sitting in your higher self at this particular event?
I've done both. And when I connected and I sat as my higher self, that was very shocking and powerful to me, actually, because my higher self is more masculine. And so when I saw all the council members around the table, that's how we meet. There was an actual table, which I actually, when it happened, I started laughing. I just thought it was so funny. I was like, there's a real table here. We're in a meeting room. But so when I met the head member and started conversing telepathically and then energetically feeling that, wait a minute, this was really familiar. And then he told me, he's like, no, I'm your higher self. So in that visit, in that time, it was really powerful for me. But right now, if I go, I don't know. I would say I probably go from my perspective of who I am in the physical body. So Amy Sikarskie as a human.
So is there any significance to that number of the council being 13 that would have any application towards numerology?
I'm not certain about numerology, but I will say that I think most of the councils have 12. So when clients see me, if it's just interesting. Once I started this path and getting this information, more and more clients would come in and they would be starseeded and their councils would show up. So most of the councils are 12 and Connie's council is 12. So really I feel like probably the most common is 12, but the 13th is myself. And that's just how we kept it separate in the book. So when her council would come in, they were called the Council of 12. Mine was the Council of 13. And then we have a Council of 8. And the Council of 8 is more of a collective. So it's more just like the infinity symbol rather than numerological. So the number 8. And they are a collective council who's here for everybody. So it's more like a collaboration of multiple star races and souls who are getting ready to incarnate onto Earth. So as far as numerology, that would be a question for Connie because she's so good with numbers. But myself, I'm not quite sure the significance.
888-919-2355. 888-919-2355 is the number you call to get on the air with myself and my guest today, Amy Sikarskie. Amy, when you have these councils, when you have these meetings with your group, I mean this lightly. I mean, do you talk about the Cubs, the baseball game? Do you talk about, walk me through a session, how this all unfolds. You arrive, you become conscious. Who begins the dialogue? Is there an order of business that has to happen first, or is it really about you, or is it about the collective? Walk me through one of these council meetings.
Oh, sure. No, I choose to when I do go to meet them, I choose to make it very purposeful, and I choose to take that time to ask questions that can help others. So currently, I'm almost done with the second book in this StarSeeded Ascensions series, and it's called Activating the Starseed. And so I've done a lot of council meetings, you would say, to get information for the book. So I don't really ask questions about the Cubs or anything earthly like that. But it's more an overall approach to information that's going to come through to help others and myself understand why we're here as starseeds, understand the process of awakening. And a big thing right now is boundaries. And that's something that I had to really learn in my process, because once you start to awaken and your light body activates your clear senses, if they lie dormant, then they can activate very quickly. So if you don't have boundaries, then you start picking up external information from other people and places and just society and the world around us that can make things very, very confusing. So, so back to your question though about the meetings. I do go into meditation. It's easier for me now to drop in and meet them. But often what happens is I know I get this prompting maybe 1 or 2 days before that there's going to be an exchange, that there's going to be a meeting coming up. And that's kind of what happened with us, Keith. 2 days before you reached out to me for the radio show, I was just cleaning the kitchen and I heard radio show. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, what does that mean? And then when you reached out to me, I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, yes. So, but that's kind of how it will happen is I'll get this feeling or this pull or a download that, okay, we're going to meet and there's some information that needs to come through. And it usually is for everyone, like the collective consciousness. But in the past, I have met with them for personal questions, especially regarding big family events like moving or new jobs, stuff like that, But other than that, it's more, I choose personally to make it like very significant in the questions. And a lot of times I'll have them written out before I go into the council meetings.
When you have these sessions, are you in a place that has, let's say, some physicality to it? In other words, does it make sense to the mind that you're in a place? And do you sense the other 12 around you? Does each being have an individual voice? Do they speak individually, or do they speak as one voice?
Oh, wow. Good questions. Yeah, no, I do go somewhere. I really do. And the first time that I consciously went there was during my regression. So after Connie had her regression, a lot of information came through and we wanted to expand on it. So we switched roles, and then I was the one who was being regressed. And in that session, I did go somewhere and it looked like an office, but in the sense that there was a table and members sitting around it, and it was definitely off of the planet Earth. So I traveled there in my light body. Currently, I could do that, or sometimes it's like you're staying here and you just raise your consciousness, so more of a telepathic communication, and that can happen as well. So there are different ways. It kind of just depends for me what's going on that day. Do I have the time to, do I have extra time that day to do some traveling? Or is it more like, do you just pick up the phone and talk to them? Is how I would describe it. So yeah, but there are different ways to do it. I know Connie does both, I believe, and she travels too. And we share in our book that she actually goes and has seen the starship that she, there's a lot of description in messages from the councils about her going to a starcraft to have her visits with her guides and get memories, like memories come forward that talk about her life as to why she's here. And in those memories, she's recalling her spacecraft, if you will. So we do go places, but then also it's like you can tune in as if you were having a conversation over a phone, or like you and I are right now.
Oh, check it. From the chat room, Don Danny asked a question. Can Amy explain cohabitation of one soul to more than one life, or living in several vessels at the same time?
Oh, I think I understand. So if I understand correctly, this is when the soul energy kind of splits and lives two lives at the same time in two bodies. Is he saying anything? I think that's what he means.
Yeah.
And Yeah. Yeah, I've actually come across that as a regressionist, one of my friends actually, which was very interesting. Um, I kind of described to her what I was doing, and she wasn't really into this too much, all of the work that I do, but she was very open to the idea. So when she came to visit, we did a regression and found that she's cohabiting two bodies right now. So it does happen, and I've heard of it before, but I'm not sure how rare it is or not. And then you go into the whole idea of parallel lifetimes happening all at once, anyhow. So you can get pretty deep with it, but I have heard of it for
I
sure.
like deep. Amy, would you say that it's true that we're all doing that? We're all cohabiting infinite number of bodies, but I guess it's more of the trick or the question that are you aware of such?
Oh, I don't know. Personally, I'm not aware that I am currently inhabiting any other body right now. I feel like
What about
there's,
just the idea that on some level, if there's truly only one spirit and we're all fragments of that, that somehow we are coexisting in all these different timelines through our multidimensional self? Yeah.
yeah. Yes, I understand that. Yeah, if you're going to go with the thought of oneness and all being one and vibrating at the same frequency, the same soul level, then I understand that for sure. And I would agree. But I feel like we all have our own spark of consciousness and memories. So once you also recall, lives even on earth, even past lives, it's like in a way you're separate with your experiences, but you're still part of the collective and the wholeness of everything. So I would agree.
I have a big juicy question. When you are out there, earlier I heard you mention Andromeda, and I've heard this in my past, and because you're more adept in this particular field by your connection to guides and others in that way, are you familiar with the idea that the Andromedans are who humanity is in the future? Are they the future humanity? Are
Oh,
they
I've
what we evolved to?
okay, I've heard of that with the Palladians, but again, I haven't had any personal experience with that. So I haven't had any downloaded messages. I never really asked, I guess, but I've heard of it like in chat rooms, and I've read a few of Dolores Cannon's books, so maybe it came in through there. But once I started communicating with my council, and the idea of Starseed didn't seem so foreign because I'd been introduced to it. But once I started communicating with them during the process of writing this book that I'm currently writing and messages from the councils, I really have separated myself from other people's experiences, just so that whatever came through would be pure and true for my experience. So I can't say, I don't know for that. For myself, I don't know, but I've heard of that concept, absolutely.
Being connected as you are in this way through meditation. For example, when you had mentioned that I contacted you just a matter of days or moments after you received the thought radio show, and you went, really? Does it? Do you have physical experiences? Meaning, I don't mean abductions, anything like that, none of the negative stuff. But from the perspective that Amy is going to go outside to get something in the car that she left when she got home, and it's dark and it's about 9:30 at night, and you happen to look up and you see something that most people could not because of your connection to the council. And if the council is more of an would you say it's more extraterrestrial than it would be angelic? And I don't mean to ask that question as if there's a division or separation, but just a creative tone of some of these council members.
Yeah, they absolutely are more extraterrestrial. And in the last book that I'm writing, they did say, some would like to give us a classification or say that we're angels, but they're not. They're not like an archangel, but um, I have a gatekeeper who's an ET, and so she acts like a mother or takes on the role of a guardian angel. And she has said that I don't have a guardian angel in the traditional sense, that she would be taking on that role. So they absolutely are ET. extraterrestrial. And yes, I can when I go outside and even in the house. But if I bring my awareness to them, I can see them. It's like it's like, oh gosh, it's like seeing energy or knowing that something's there. If something were to be invisible, but it was standing right in front of you and you could feel it and sense it and communicate. So I do recognize them, and sometimes they come through as a collective vibration because, as energy, it's vibration. And other times they will come through if one of my guides, and I call them guides just out of habit, but they're council members. So if one of them were to have more information on a specific life challenge per se, or area of study that I was interested in, then they would step forward to offer that information and guidance. So, but they're ET, absolutely. And it's been a gentle awakening, really, because I would like to consider myself a normal person. I would. And so everything happened very gradual for me. I think if it didn't, it would shock my psyche and I would just go insane or something, like not even know what to do. So everything happened very, very gradually. And my first encounter really with ETs that I can remember was right after my Reiki training. And that was back in 2001. So I had an out-of-body experience after getting one of the attunements, and I can't recall what level it was. But that night, I was staying with my cousin because the class was out of town from where I lived. And so I was staying with her, and she wasn't home yet. And I got to her front porch and turned the light on, and it blew. I blew the light bulb. Then I walked in up the stairs and turned that light on, and that light bulb blew. And then I got up to her room to get ready for bed and blew that light bulb. So it was really interesting. There was already some energy running through. And I decided at that point I probably should just not try another light. It was really like, whoa, it was so powerful and profound too, because that's something that is absolutely physical, a direct manifestation that something different is happening. And so that night when I went to sleep, I had an out-of-body experience where I did leave. And what happened was at that point in my life, I was still very much tied with my childhood religion. And I didn't understand or think that it would make sense for me to recall all of the information and all of the experience that I had in that out-of-body travel. Really, we traveled through the cosmos. So I specifically remember asking them, when I return, I can't remember all of this. I told them that. So I can't remember it. I don't think I could process it as a human. And so when I came back into my body, it was a really cool feeling. They said goodbye, and it was like they dropped me on the shore. It felt like an ocean, and then waves were coming in. So my energy came into my physical body that felt like waves, like the waves washing up on the shore. And then I opened my eyes and I could still feel them around, and I knew I was back, and I remembered that I had asked to forget. So quickly I journaled a bunch of stuff down. But anyways, they're ETs, but they're really loving. They're very, very kind and compassionate, and they actually are here to help us. They're here to assist us in raising the vibration on Earth and helping with the ascension of humanity. So,
Keith Anthony Blanchard, your host of Center of Light Radio, 6 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday night. Hello, Daria from the chat room. Just want to say hi to you. Amy, we're at the bottom of the hour. Would you give out your contact information so our listening audience can find out more about you and the awesome, out of this world, no pun intended, work that you're doing?
Sure. So my website is my name. It's Amy, AMYSIKARSKIE.com. And then we also have the website dedicated to specific work with Starseeds, and that is StarSeeded Ascensions.com. And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, but I'm really more active and engaged on Instagram. at StarSeeded Ascensions or at Starlight Photos, and there's an underscore in between. So it's star_light_photos.
I had someone ask me, I was giving a presentation, they asked me, Keith, when you describe angels, when you describe extraterrestrials, you sound like you're speaking about the same thing. And I said, well, yes, to a degree, but there is a difference, a variance in the vibration. And I said, maybe you could see it this way. Angels are beings without bodies unless they want one. Extraterrestrials are beings with bodies unless they don't.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of just a flip of the same coin.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell because I work a lot with the Archangel realm, and especially Archangel Michael. He's really prominent right now on Earth, and they are different. You know, they're all full of love. My counsel is, and of course the archangels are, but there is a difference there. Absolutely.
Your childhood, though you gave us some of that just a bit ago, what was it like? Did you only have one or two experiences and it waited till you got older when you were, quote, more mature of mind to where you can handle some of the things that were going to happen, things that were coming in, things that were happening? Or did this happen to you all of your childhood life?
Well, I think I was connected, and especially when I've done regression work, I've gone back and they've shown me specific moments, specific memories as a child where they were in communication with me, where we had a conversation or they were sitting there energetically to support me. So I was connected from birth, actually. But once I started having those moments as a child, I didn't know what to call it. I mean, I knew there was somebody else there or a higher power. It felt very comforting. It felt like that same vibration where you could say, I feel like I'm at home. So it felt very loving. And I think I would have just referenced it to God at that point with my, my understanding as a child, God or an angel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, but then later, I had a little bit of stuff come up in my teenage years, and I did block that connection just a little bit. And so once I started to reconnect back in with them, then coming from an adult perspective, I was able to handle that. No, there are ETs. And I used to listen to Coast to Coast all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I was definitely open to the idea, at that point. It wasn't alarming or anything. And I think that was another part of my path, that if I were to not have had little experiences, little awakenings or openings in my consciousness to maybe the possibility of other realities outside of what maybe everybody else that was around me understood or was in tune with. So, but it is more of a solid connection now. Absolutely.
Are you familiar with the Anunnaki?
A little bit. A little bit.
This is not a particular race that you hang out with.
No, but I've heard of them.
And it's I would expect that answer from you, because from my reading, from my research about the Anunnaki, it seems of a different vibration. And I'm sure Don Danny from the chat room, I'm thinking, I know him well enough, would agree. You have the Pleiadians and you have all these other beings, and they seem like they hang out sort of like in your type of council, in these clusters. And then you have the race of the Anunnaki, which is completely different. And Don Danny in the chat room, you can give me a thumbs up, support, or deny that claim, if you would. So what is an overall message or a likely message that would come through in one of your sessions? Is it about humanity? Is it about the earth? Is it about earth and humanity? Is it about, I guess the juicy question, the delicious question is, let me ask you this, when is the last time you had a session with your council?
Okay, an official session, I'm not sure, but I'm in communication every day, if that makes sense. So yes. I talk to them telepathically every day. So yeah, so they're here, they're around. It depends. So my purpose or my specialty, if you want to say that, one of the things that I help with on Earth right now is my vibration. I like to work in the ethers, in the astral realm, in the air. And Connie's very much connected with Earth. So we balance each other out very well. So the messages that came through for her were more about working from the inside of the Earth to clear the toxicity and the low vibration to help raise it. And this vibration can be a number of things. There's all different types of energy and frequency. So it can be emotion, or it could be entities. So earthbound spirits, or maybe some spirits that don't really need to be on Earth because they're really keeping the vibration kind of dense and low. So for me, so then I work a lot in the air, just stretching and thinning and helping to release the energy. So when you talk about the connection with Gaia, which is Mother Earth, yeah, we're here for a reason, because I think it's just getting a little bit out of control. I feel like she's kind of ready to move into the next chapter, and the energy is really heavy. So a lot of light workers, a lot of earth angels or starseeds, any type of light worker that's here right now, a lot of us have come back, kind of like this spiritual army, to bring light and a higher vibration. So to help kind of just clear out that darkness. And the starseed, for those who are starseeded, and that's something a little different what we can talk about, they have a light about them that they can bring that starts to shift the consciousness of those around them. It just acts like a beacon. And when you go and you travel through a crowd of people, or when you touch a footprint on the earth, it's like you leave this vibration behind. So there's a lot of starseeds here that are just here so that their energy can be on the earth plane to assist. And not all starseeds will remember that they're a starseed or be awake. A lot of them get kind of just caught up in life. What I like to call it human life. So some days I feel like a human, and other days I'm more in the spiritual realm. So it's kind of interesting. But that's I don't remember your question. I'm sorry, but that's just kind of where I would go with it.
Sure. So I understand the idea, not only the idea, the truth of the matter, that we have so many different options as far as parallels, that at any moment the collective of humanity can make a choice and we can go there, or the collective humanity can make this choice and we can go there. So it's kind of pointless to ask you, or even the council, or even the higher being, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
Even though we got all these different parallels that we can end up by the choices we make collectively, the one that is most important is the one that we're in. That's the point of view I'm asking you the question. Do they share with you what our future as the human race looks like for the vibration that we are in?
Okay.
Does it look good?
Well, you'd have to say, what vibration am I in? Because I have days where I'm not in a good place, and then I have days that's amazing, right? So I think being more conscious about that and really keeping your vibration in alignment with your intentions is very powerful and important. They have said that there were the two possibilities, right? That Earth wouldn't make it, that we would hit a point where we would destroy ourselves, but then we're still here. So from my experience, the information that I've got is that, if we continue to be more conscious with our intentions, with our spirituality, like who we are and why are we here, and just really, it's just like bringing a lot of compassion, peace, love, having integrity, just being a good person, all of that is going to help shift and support this. I see it like a wave flushing forward, gaining momentum and just pushing us into the future, into a really beautiful place where souls can come to Earth and have their experience as a human and not be bombarded by what I've come to know and what they've mentioned is that it's just a little bit out of balance right now. That not only do we have people making decisions that aren't supportive of progress moving forward, but also that there are, and we're going to go here, I guess, that there are, entities or beings who are not in a physical body, or some ETs perhaps, that come here and they really try and create havoc and can bring vibrations down. So it takes somebody to consciously or actively, with their intention, keep a positive way about them and try and stay in a higher vibration to help push us forward. But I feel like, and what I've seen is that we will make it. It looks amazing. And that's the goal. That's their intention. And I feel like that's why a lot of us are here. So in one of my memories, I worked outside of Earth, obviously, but helped to create some prototypes for trees. And it was it sounds maybe kind of simple, but it was a really profound memory and experience. And I was not in a human form, but it was at the beginning of Earth's creation, making trees that we would bring to Earth to see if they would work. And from my understanding is a lot of starseeds did help with Gaia, with the creation of Earth. And it's, I look at science and where we are now and how people are doing all this genetic modification and stuff. So I'm looking at science and spirituality, and I'm looking at ETs and how they seeded Earth, and also have so much dedication to her success. So when stuff was getting out of control, a lot of us said, okay, we got to go back. We need to check on her. And there are starseeds who will maybe have a life on Earth and then not another one for 1,000 years. Or some of us, it's our first time here. It's not my first time here, but I haven't had many. So it's definitely our intention to help to succeed and see Earth through without destruction.
I guess we are the Salvation Army. From the chat room, Daria asked the question, does Amy have any knowledge of the Stonehenge-like structure some people believe to be a portal for starseeds at Arkham, Russia?
Oh, wow. I don't, but I know there are many sacred spots where ancient civilizations made connections with their star family. So I feel like maybe each race or each place on Earth came from a different starseed race, and each culture has a sacred, or they did at one point, place where they could connect in, a portal to walk through. Starseeds are really gifted in that they have the ability, if they remember and can activate it, to travel through portals. So to connect into other places in time, to travel and access memories or, information into like, why am I here? What am I going through? Because a lot of us, I feel, sometimes know from the beginning that we're here for a reason bigger than ourselves. So we ask a lot of those questions. And, maybe everybody in your life asks questions like that, and that's fabulous. But I know a lot of people who don't. So there's definitely a distinction. And like I said, though, there are some starseeds who are awake, and there are some who never probably will wake up in this life. And by that, I mean remembering, having those memories. But I'm not familiar with that specific sacred space, but I would like to explore that more. I think I'll have to look it up for sure.
While I'm thinking about it, anybody out there, if you have the opportunity, go see this new movie that was released, Doctor Strange. Storyline or not, the effects are pretty intense. But just the idea that multiple universes, parallel universes, are coming out of the woodwork in the movie theaters is pretty cool. The movie's fun. It's fun. This guy moves through different timelines. It's just very well done, in my opinion. I had a blast with it. So I do. It's a good watch. So I do suggest you get out to the movie theater and check out Doctor Strange. So when is your new book going to be released, Amy?
Well, it's being having the final edits right now, and then we have to print it and make sure everything looks good. So I'm hoping the end of December, 1st of January for the timeline. The cover is almost done. It's a self-published book, so everything's a little bit different in that I'm setting the timeline and the team that I'm working with, trying to get everything going while also having my other job and being a mom, so I'm doing this on the side here. And but that's what we're looking at is December, January to have it come out.
Fantastic. Exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be nice also because this information for the second book came through over a year ago, a lot of it, and then we moved. So we moved from California to Texas, and that just took a bunch of my time getting, situated and everything. So for me, it's like, oh, I want to get it out. I really want to release it. But then also I feel like there's something about this divine timing too, and it will come at the exact moment when it's needed. But I'm excited for it. It's a little bit different. So if anybody has read Messages from the Councils yet, it explains our experience, Connie and myself. It has the direct dialogue from our sessions with our councils, from our meetings, and then we explain what that actually means, what they might say, how it pertained to us. And but the next book, Activating the Starseed, that one is very different. It's probably 80% channel, just pure channel, either from the councils or the archangel realm. And then I do share some of my stories that we haven't talked about today. So I'm excited for it.
This book is authored by you alone, or is it co-authored with Connie or someone else?
Well, the one that's currently out, Messages from the Councils, that one is co-authored by myself and Connie. And then the next one that's coming out is just myself.
Awesome. If you would, we're at the top of the hour. Would you give out your contact information again for our listening audience?
Yes, my website is amysikarskie.com, AMYSIKARSKIE, and the Starseed information can be found on StarSeededAscensions.com.
So this new book you have coming out, is it a how-to book? It's activating the starseed. So people can get your book and glean knowledge about how to begin the process of opening up the portals, the channels, the energy to remember, to experience those parts of themselves like you.
Yeah, it's really based on the energy body and there's 4 steps to I guess is the goal, and it's to love yourself. I mean, it's really simple. Love yourself first, but then we get in deep, like what does that mean, and how does that work with the light body? And then that is what expands and lets you awaken and have these connections and really remember. And then it goes into loving those in your life, like your family and friends, and then your community, the world, and the universe. So it really expands far out to create a ripple, but it goes in pretty deep. And what's nice about both books, especially Activating the Starseed, is there's some coded frequencies in there. It's direct channel, and so when you tune in with it, that alone will start to activate the vibration in your energy body, the reader's energy body. And I've had some pretty good feedback for a few of my friends who have read the draft copy and the energy that's come through for them. So,
Amy, has your connection to, let's call them others for the sake of dialogue, have they mentioned to you anything about what's currently taking place in our local space around Earth? Like, for example, the moon, the dark side of the moon, and some of what is taking place there with supposedly 22 extraterrestrial civilizations, as well as governments from all around the world, and the fact that humanity is now, believe it or not, populating our space there. We are actually moving out. This has been supposedly going on so long that there are humans who have never lived on Earth. Are you familiar with any of this work by Corey Good and David Wilcock from the Cosmic Disclosure Program?
Yeah, I'm a little bit familiar, and I really haven't had, let's just say I haven't gone with my counsel and asked the question. However, some of the stuff that's come forward, like what you just mentioned, I'm not feeling a strong no about it at all. So to me, it feels very natural and plausible, and that, yeah, it's occurring. When I've had visions, there are many ET races around Earth right now. So they're there, they're watching us, they're helping us, and there's more and more sightings, right, all the time. So, and people are documenting and catching them on their cell phones. So, and I have a really good friend right now who's traveling around the world, making connection with ETs. So they're here. They really are. And if they were going to do anything, radical and harm us, it would have already happened. They're here to, I feel the ones that I know that I've met are really here to protect us. And they're actually our family. My council and members that I've met of my star family, it's like they're your family. So they only have our best intentions at heart.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed, because the vibration of Earth is lifting, humanity is lifting, and some of those others, even though they may be trapped here, it's getting to the point to where the vibrations are starting to separate enough to where they can no longer experience us because we're just invisible to them. Amy, we're at the top of the hour. Boy, this hour goes by fast, and Don, Danny, and those in the chat room have asked. I did send that email finally to the producers of Inception Radio Network about expanding Center of Light Radio to a two-hour show. Amy, is there a final closing statement you'd like to leave our listening audience with?
I think it's just, just be true to yourself and your heart, and keep that love in your heart, and that will lead the way, really. That is the vibratory space that I sit in whenever I have messages come through, and when I'm trying to tune in with my higher self and the councils. So even if you're a starseed or not, it's like connecting back to source energy, connecting back to that love vibration, and letting that emanate and just ripple out, and really to help everybody here on Earth right now, because it can be challenging for sure, but we're here to support each other.
Amy, thank you for being a phenomenal guest here on Center of Light Radio. Very, very empowering, inspiring, and very knowledgeable. It gives me, you gave me a lot of insight to things about Starseed that I never really knew. I mean, I had my hand in that arena a little enough to have this dialogue with you, but I'm really interested more about this. So you can bet I'm going to do my YouTubing and my Googling and delve into it a little more. I would love to have you back.
Sure, that would be great. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Love and light to you, dear everyone. Miss Amy Sikarskie, what a fun guest today. It's taught me a lot of things. You can bet I'm going to do my homework. I might even include some of this in that newsletter program. Again, you can find that at centeroflightradio.com. Bottom right-hand side of the opening page, you'll see a subscription form. Fill it out. Next week on Center of Light Radio, let's be careful with that word, old, Keith. Inception Radio Network host, Dr. Rita Louise. Powerhouse of an individual she is, let me tell you. We're going to be discussing her brand new movie, Holy Deception. I love talking with her. Keith Anthony Blanchard, your host of Center of Light Radio, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Monday night, I am in this captain's chair, conducting all the affairs of the heart. I look forward to seeing you here next week. Spread the word, spread the light. We're here. We're going to be here for a while, so I do appreciate you all. Remember, when you lay down at night, you have nothing to do. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe yourself through the ceiling of thought. Do this 10, 15 minutes, and you will find yourself on the other side. Believe me, or inside. And when you get there, that deafening, profound silence will speak volumes to you. You will be guided. You will be supported. And you will be blissful. And ease into that. Peace, love, and light. Take care.